Alright, so I'm going to go over the extrude tool. I'm going to make this little Maya tool series since people seem to be having some issues maybe understanding all the nuances, I guess, of them. So this is the extrude tool up here. Now you can find it under Edit Mesh, Extrude, right? Let's go ahead and pop this menu out for the moment. So I have extrude right here. I like to put it up in my actual custom menu bar, so that's where I've put it. Now extrude works multiple ways. There's many ways, but essentially it's when you are pulling a piece of geometry out and creating sort of this well, extrusion, right? It's a protrusion of something. So you are making extra geometry, you're creating more geometry. So let me show you a couple of ways that it gets used most regularly. So the most blatant one is if I select a face on my object. Again, don't select the object itself. It will do weird things if you select the object. You don't want that. You want to extrude parts of your object, not the object itself, because that will lead to woe and sorrow for all. So usually lamina faces and all sorts of crap that just ruins your model. So let's grab a face, right, and let's go ahead and extrude. Now when I first hit this button, I get a number of options that pop up, including a little bar over here that allows me to change thickness, offsets, and divisions. I've got the arrows here, and I've got little boxes here. Everything means something. So these arrows are the oops, I have snap to grid on. Let me go ahead and take that off. The arrows are the translates, obviously, right? The boxes are the scale, right? So you can scale it outwards, inwards, right? And then this line going around, if you click that, it will open up the option to rotate, which of course is your XYZ rotate, as well as the camera rotate to camera perspective, which will just rotate it whichever way you're facing. See? Now, before you pull something out, it's also worthwhile to note this little blue button up here that looks kind of like a power switch. If you switch it, you change it between object and world. So let's say I go here and I turn this, and I'm just sort of translating this object in space a little. Let's say I go back to the extrude. Now you can see the difference. You don't really see the difference when things are even with the world geometry, but now I can pull it like sort of directly out. But it kind of, you can see there's like a slight advance here. Let me show you. Let's say I take, I'm gonna go all the way back and undo this. Right? So let's say I rotate it and I kind of expand it. So you can see that this is obviously sort of a quad kind of, it's going, you know, boop, out like a little pyramid kind of thing. Now if I extrude according to the world like that, it's going to kind of keep to that point and then just sort of pushes on out, right? And this isn't terrible. This might be really useful at times. Like if you're trying to extrude an arm out of a body, then you don't want to click this. On the other hand, if you are trying to keep with an up-down geometry, it would be kind of difficult to kind of, I want to pull it up, I want to pull it down, I want to pull it out directly to the side. That's when you click this. You get your up-down, see? So I could easily just then kind of come in here. I can adjust these a little bit. And then I can extrude out. See? So I can just sort of keep to the XYZs of the world. Right, so what do these divisions do? Well, divisions make more divisions in there if you need them. Offset squeezes and pulls the shape. Thickness. It's a little strange. I don't use these too much. The divisions are not bad. You do have these options over here where you can kind of adjust the divisions, see? So I can still kind of adjust and tweak in this, but this is nice to have this kind of real quick setup so you can just add divisions if you need them. And they're pretty evenly spaced, so that's always nice. Now, so that's sort of like, that's face extrusions. You know, I'm sitting here, I'm making faces. Let's say I need to create some sort of extra geometry along the side. I can go through here. I just want to select these. So I'm just clicking on these, click, 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 click. And I can extrude those as well. So if I come back to my extrude, right? Here's an example of it being kind of strange. Shooting off to the side like that. I'm going to go ahead and click it so it goes straight up. And there you go. See? So now I've got just a plane. The edges become a plane. Right? And I can kind of do whatever I need to do here. See? I can start extrapolating all sorts of geometry, making it do whatever. Here's some things not to do though. Let's say I am sitting here and I'm extruding things. Now if I go in here and I grab these and I extrude these out, I might be like, well, there we go. Look at all that extra, I made extra geometry. That's convenient. But what you've actually gone and done is you've put a face down underneath this face. Right? So now you've got this extra geometry sitting here under this face, and that's super annoying. That's really annoying. That's bad. And later on, that's going to be sort of difficult to deal with. And you don't want to deal with that. So don't do that. There are certain ways to use it. See, look at this. I've now got this geometry under this geometry. It's just, it looks like crap. So I would be better served just having extruded the faces here so that I just have this one block. There you go. By the way, you can always tell if you go inside the blocks, you can kind of see it's a nice open space in here. That's good. You don't want extra geometry floating around inside. So good. Looks like, yeah, no extra geometry is floating around. So nice. Nice little interior. And it's kind of easier maybe even to just sort of come in here and grab a vert to move in because it's just easier. See, there we go. So now we're like standing on the floor of this grand cavern. Good. Great. Anyway, so that is extruding edges and faces. You can't extrude points. Don't try it. It gets weird. So just faces and edges. And on one more thing. Let's say I select multiple faces. Keep faces together. If you turn that off, watch what happens here. I'm going to go ahead and extrude. Pop, pop, pop. But what I've really done is I've actually made multiple pieces. Every single one of these is no longer keeping the faces together. Now they're their own chunks. And you can see that if you go inside again. See? Each one's got its own little corridor. Right? And that can be useful as well, but know that keeping faces together, you usually want it turned on, otherwise you're making a lot of extra geometry and things are going to get weird and you can't figure out why they're not connected. You know, and later on things like the edge loop won't work. See, it only goes around the one piece because it's its own finger, as it were. So yeah, so that's extrusions. Out of this single box, I have made a bunch of weird extra pieces of geometry now. I've got a lot more going on than just originally this box. And that's all from extrusions. So extrusions are sort of your best friend when building and modeling up geometry. So yeah, thank you very much for listening.